Once upon a time, in the vast sun-drenched plains of Africa, lived a little lion cub named Leo. Leo was just like any other cub. He loved to pounce on his mother's twitching tail, chase after colorful butterflies, and play hide-and-seek with his siblings among the tall savanna grass. But Leo had a secret that made his little heart thump like a drum whenever he thought about it. Leo was afraid of roaring. While his brothers and sisters practiced their roars every single day, trying to sound just like their big, strong father, the king of the pride, Leo would find a reason to be somewhere else. His roars came out as tiny, squeaky meows, more like a kitten than a future king. The other cubs would sometimes giggle, and Leo would feel his cheeks get hot with embarrassment. A lion who can't roar, what good is that? He would hear them whisper. One sunny afternoon, Leo's father gathered all the cubs. "Today is a special day," he announced, his deep voice rumbling across the plains. "Today, we will begin your training to become true guardians of the savannah. Your roar is your most powerful tool. It tells everyone, friend and foe, that this is our home and we are its protectors." Leo's heart sank. He watched as his brother Leon took a deep breath and let out a small but respectable roar. His sister Lara followed with a sharp, determined yelp that was almost a roar. Then it was Leo's turn. All eyes were on him. He took a deep breath, puffed out his chest just like he'd seen his father do, and opened his mouth. But all that came out was a tiny, pathetic squeak. The laughter from the other cubs echoed in his ears, and Leo turned and ran, his eyes blurry with tears. He ran and ran until he found himself at the edge of the watering hole, far away from his family. He looked at his reflection in the water. A small, sad lion cub with tear-streaked fur stared back at him. "I'll never be brave," he whispered to his reflection. "I'll never be a real lion." Just then, a wise old tortoise named Timothy, who had been resting under a nearby acacia tree, slowly ambled over. Timothy had seen many generations of lions come and go, and he had a shell as wrinkled as the oldest maps of the savannah. "What troubles you, little one?" Timothy asked in a calm, raspy voice. Leo sniffled and wiped his eyes with his paw. "I can't roar," he confessed. "I'm supposed to be brave, but I'm just a scaredy cat, or a scaredy lion, I guess. Everyone laughs at me." Timothy nodded slowly. "Ah, the roar," he said, tapping his chin thoughtfully. "Many believe that bravery is about being the loudest, but I have lived a long time, little Leo, and I have learned that true bravery isn't in the sound you make. It's in the actions you take, especially when you're afraid." Leo looked at the old tortoise, confused. "What do you mean? Bravery," Timothy continued, "is not the absence of fear. It is doing what is right, even when your knees are knocking and your heart is pounding. A loud roar can be empty, but a small act of courage can change everything." Leo thought about Timothy's words for a long time. He wasn't sure he understood completely, but the old tortoise's calm presence was comforting. He spent the rest of the afternoon with Timothy, listening to his stories about the savannah and its many creatures, big and small. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and purple, a sudden panic swept through the plains, the air filled with the frantic calls of zebras and the alarmed trumpeting of elephants. Leo and Timothy looked up to see a plume of smoke rising in the distance, a wildfire. The dry season had made the savanna grass as flammable as tinder, and a stray spark of lightning had started a blaze that was now spreading fast. Panic seized Leo. His first instinct was to run and hide. But then he heard a faint cry, a sound almost lost in the growing chaos. Peering through the smoke, he saw a baby monkey, small and terrified, clinging to a low branch of a tree directly in the path of the fire. The monkey's mother was on the other side of a widening gap of flames, screeching in terror, unable to reach her child. All the bigger animals were fleeing in the opposite direction, their survival instincts taking over. No one seemed to notice the tiny monkey. Leo's heart pounded in his chest. He was terrified of the fire, the heat, the smoke. Everything inside him screamed to run away. But then he remembered Timothy's words. True bravery is in the actions you take, especially when you're afraid. He looked at the scared baby monkey and then at his own paws. He was small, yes, but he was also quick and nimble. Making a decision, Leo dashed forward. He weaved through the burning grass, his small size allowing him to navigate paths the larger animals couldn't. The heat was intense, and the smoke stung his eyes. He reached the tree and scrambled up the trunk. The baby monkey, seeing him, cried even louder, unsure if Leo was a friend or a foe. "It's okay," Leo said, his voice shaky but gentle. "I'm here to help you." He carefully nudged the little monkey onto his back. "Hold on tight," he yelled over the roar of the flames. With the precious cargo clinging to his fur, Leo carefully climbed back down. He then began the perilous journey back, looking for a safe path away from the worst of the fire. He saw a clearing near the river that the fire hadn't reached yet. He ran towards it, his little legs pumping as fast as they could. The smoke was getting thicker, and he could barely breathe. He was so scared. He wanted to stop, to curl into a ball, but the feeling of the little monkey trembling on his back gave him strength. Just as he thought he couldn't go on, he burst through the smoke and into the clearing by the riverbank where many animals had gathered. He stumbled to a halt, coughing and gasping for air. The baby monkey's mother rushed over, chattering with relief, and scooped her child into a tight embrace. She turned to Leo, her eyes full of gratitude, and bowed her head. Suddenly, Leo realized that all the animals were staring at him, not with laughter or pity, but with awe and respect. His father, his mother, and his siblings were there, their eyes wide with surprise and pride. They had seen his dash into the fire. They had seen his incredible courage. His father walked over and nuzzled him, a gesture reserved for the greatest of deeds. "Leo," his father's voice was thick with emotion. "That was the bravest thing I have ever seen. Standing there, surrounded by his family and the grateful animals of the savannah, Leo felt a new feeling swell up inside him. It wasn't fear, it was pride. It was a confidence he had never felt before. He looked at the little monkey, now safe with its mother. He looked at the proud faces of his family. He thought about what Timothy had said. He took a deep breath. But this time, it wasn't to force a sound he didn't have. It was a breath full of purpose. He opened his mouth, and from the very core of his being, a roar erupted. It wasn't the loudest roar on the savannah. It wasn't as deep as his father's, but it was a true, raw, powerful, confident, and full of courage. It was the roar of a lion who had found his bravery, not in his voice, but in his heart. From that day on, Leo never worried about the sound of his roar again. He knew that true strength wasn't about how loud you could be, but about the courage you show when it matters most. And as he grew, his roar grew with him, echoing across the plains the sound of the brave little lion who taught everyone that the biggest courage often comes in the smallest packages. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed Leo's story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing tales. See you next time.